How we doing? Welcome to the show, everyone. Episode 32. So I think just before we kick on this week, I think we just need to spare our thoughts for what happened last night. Josh?
Our thoughts and prayers go out to people that lost their lives. Last night we've recorded and filmed this on a Sunday morning, and it happened on last night on Saturday, and the attacks in London Bridge and Borough Market where people have been stabbed and the terrorists drove their cars into them. Our thoughts go out to them. Our thoughts also go out to people in Manchester who are still recovering from the horrific bombing attack at the MEN.
Do you know what's terrible is that's the second time we're saying this in 3 weeks.
It's
2 weeks, isn't it? Last week we walked up saying the same thing.
It's mad. So I thought back to those people. We're getting to the show, episode 32. Like you said, how we doing? I'm fine. I'm good. It's been a good week. The sun's out. Summertime makes everyone feel good. You know what I'm saying? And we have a new arrival to the Lifessa family.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm a dad again.
Again.
Yeah. My wife had our son on Sunday, like literally a week.
Yeah.
A week to well, he's not quite a week.
It was
a
crazy.
Sunday night, but yeah.
Because he called me on a Sunday. He was like, "Oh, do you want this ticket to go here?" And I was like, and I thought you meant to go somewhere with you.
Yeah.
And then then you were like, "Yeah, she's Daniela's just gone into contractions." I was like, "Oh wow, raw!" And then it seemed to be super quick because it must have gone relatively well because then you sent us a message about midnight, and I was like, "Wow, that was."
Well, I was meant to go We Are Festival on Sunday, all looking forward to it for ages, and then she started having contractions in the morning. They started getting more and more like harder and closer together as the day went on, and then we took a few trips to the hospital, and then he came at the 10:37 Sunday night last week. So this has been a really good week for me. He's my second born. I have a boy and a girl now, and man, I'm just ecstatic. And then, like I was just saying to you guys before we even recorded, it's just, whereas when I had Sophia, it was, everything is about Sophia and the world kind of stopped still for a little while. I've just had to continue with life. I'm off work for 2 weeks, but, Sophia's had dance show Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I've been doing a lot of running around for that. Daniela's been in a lot of pain as well, so she couldn't really she wasn't really active in the first few days. So I had to do a lot of stuff around the house, picking up stuff. So it's been really, really busy this week, and I did struggle to get here on time this morning.
I've got a bit. I didn't, as I said to you earlier, just feels like, I'm like, you just had a baby. I'm not expecting, I wasn't even expecting, I wouldn't have had any issue if you'd said, no, I can't make it this week. But it just seems like you were just like, had a new baby, switch straight to zone. But I guess you don't have a choice, right?
I don't have a choice, man. As I said, life goes
Responsibilities.
on. Yeah.
Also, your second one, so you probably have more experience and you know what you're doing far more.
Well, you say that, but I don't know what other parents think. But for me, Sophia's 6 now, so this happened 6 years ago, and it's a long time, and you do forget. I don't quite remember how Sophia was at that age anymore, so it's sort of like a new experience again, if that makes sense. It's hard to, because I had a friend come round yesterday, and her daughter's going on 3, and I asked, and she was holding, my son's called Lorenzo, so she was holding Lorenzo, and I said, how does it feel? Do you remember it? And she said the same thing. She says, the time goes so quick, you don't really remember. It's a weird sort of feeling, but no, man, the Semper household is good, we're happy. And now, it just sort of refocuses me. I've made some big decisions behind the scenes that I've spoken to my wife about, which I'll share with you guys as well, not on the podcast though, but I will share. But it just sort of refocuses you, and it does change your mindset and it happened to me when Sophia was born, and it's sort of happening to me again. It just makes you just think about life in a different way. Man, it's good. It's been a good week.
Good stuff.
And Ben, how's your week been? I said with a big smile on my face because you spent this week in Romania, in Bucharest.
Yeah, so I was. Go on, he's going to drop it.
And you had a nice experience in the hotel. apparently there was some porn awards. And they had some porn stars in his hotel room. No, his hotel room.
No, is it?
Not in his hotel room, in his hotel.
Don't start rumours now.
Bear in mind he was there for work, so I don't know what Ben does for work.
That was all a lie.
But yeah, he was in Bucharest. So how's that?
Do you know what it's got? So everybody else, because it was weird for me when everybody was talking about their bank holiday last week. I was like, oh, this is weird. I forgot it was a bank holiday because I was flying there at like 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So everyone's like, yeah, what you doing for the long weekend? I'm like, long week? Oh yeah, it's a long weekend, you know. So headed out there. I mean, I can't complain. It's a really nice place over there. I mean, I landed and it was like 31 degrees and sunny. And then on the way to like super hot because they just touched summer, but it was like, so I left here, it was like torrential downpour on Sunday night or something. I land there in the sun, and then the driver was taking us to the hotel, and because I walked out of the departures bit, and there was a camera there, and this woman in a red dress, and I'm like, and the guy with our sign was standing next to her. I was like, well, as much as I'd like to think it is, I know that camera ain't there for me. So then we got in the car, and the driver taking us, he's like, oh, where you staying? So we said the hotel, and he was like, oh, you picked a good week for it. There's a porn summer at your hotel. Like, what? So we get there on a Monday, and I'm not really seeing any evidence or what's going on until
they remaining porn stars.
Well, I think they. I don't know. But what was the day that I realised they'd touched down is there was a guy that was outside. There was these two Asian guys, and they saw these two women, and they went over. One of them went over and had a picture taken of them both. Yeah. So I was like, they must be porn stars because he's gone over and asked for a photo of them.
Well, they're nice.
There's, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. After coming back from there, I was talking to the driver on the way back. He's like, I've lived loads of places in the world, and there's no place like home when it comes to women. Yeah. Like talking about many women. To be honest, if my love life can't sort itself out, which doesn't seem to be happening anytime near, I might just move to Bucharest and settle down there. Like I could have stayed there. I could have stayed there quite happily. But the driver was weird as well. So he's a driver. They've got this company that's set up, like him and another guy that do it. But he's telling me all these places that he's lived, all these things that he's done. He's like, yeah, there was one. I lived in New York at one point. There was one night where I went out and I woke up in Alaska the next morning. What? He was like, it was funny at the time. It's not so funny now. I was like, I think I would have had it the other way around.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been funny at the time. It's funny to look back on.
So I wonder actually what happens.
You're up in Alaska.
Yeah.
I would have panicked.
I wouldn't have found it funny at the time, as he said, but no. So it was a good week over there. It was good to catch up with, because the thing is, the job that I do, all of my team, I actually have nobody here in the UK. So all of the people I manage, which has this challenge of remote management for people. I was actually going through my review, and so all of my team had to go and speak to my boss about any of the concerns. The actual only negative feedback was, he's got so much stuff on, I don't know how he manages it all. Which is not necessarily, it's not a bad thing, because normally my boss was like, when you've got remote managers, most of the guys you'll speak to will be like, I do all of this work and he doesn't understand how much work I do. So I was like, look, it's clearly I'm doing something right if the only thing I'm doing is doing too much. I probably need to work on that rebalance. But no, it was so it was good to spend some time over there. We went out to a couple of Romanian restaurants. They introduced me to some drink that they said is like a vodka, smelled like a whiskey, and hit you like it was an absinthe. Okay. So it was I would say if you ever go over it, I think it's called Palinka or something. Maybe have one, because it's a Romanian like traditional drink. Yeah. Probably don't go back for it anymore.
Them guys have drinks, you know. Yeah, they have some serious.
Well, the thing
drinks.
is that the problem is all they eat over there, right, is fatty meats and breads and cheese.
Serious.
Do you know how diabolical that has been for my diet? So, like, there's a gym there that I had downstairs, but there was no way I could run off as much as I was being consuming. So it was just like, now I'm back, refixed into diet mode. I need to recover from what's been consumed while I've been over there. But no, like I say, it was good to head over there, and I think that kind of segues quite well into one of the topics we wanted to discuss this week. So one of the things that we actually speak about at work, and I think is something that has value, is the concept of cultural diversity. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes I think people use that as a buzzword, but I also think it's something that's worth speaking on for the audience, to understand why it would be good to put yourself in that position where you are in a culturally diverse environment, or if you're in it and you're not making the best use of it and taking advantage of it, to step out and look to take advantage. So what I mean by that is, in the environment that I work in, it's always been, I mean, we work in the office that I work in, you've got anywhere from Russians to Brazilians to Eastern Europeans to Malaysians to South Americans, everything, the whole show, right? And I've been working in that for kind of 12 years now. And obviously my team, I've got a mix of people based in Rio, I've got a mix of people based in Malaysia, I've got the guys in Romania, which all have their varying differences. So I always refer to it as, in the Americas, for example, people will lose their head very quickly. They're very emotive about the way they handle stuff. So they'll lose their heads very quickly if something goes wrong. But if you do something right, they're your biggest fan.
Yeah.
So there's a way of dealing with them, and you speak to them to take that into consideration. When you're speaking to guys over in Malaysia, then it's a bit different. Some of the time you have to tease out some answers in them because they go about themselves. They're not as forward as the Western world, and I think that's generally like an Eastern thing, and it's kind of accepted as being a kind of Eastern way of acting. And then you've got kind of people that I've seen from like the Russias and the Eastern European areas who are very direct and can be very blunt in what they say. But because they can be very blunt, what you have to understand is sometimes they're not being rude to you. It's just the way that they speak. Whereas if they spoke like that and you spoke like that to me over here, again, one, knowing you, and two, knowing the culture that we're from, I would take it as being rude. But I don't take it as being rude from them. So what I've been able to pull from that is I think it helps increase your empathy, one, for understanding different people and how different cultures act and engage with each other. And two, I think it helps for me, it's helped my leadership approach because it's given me a balance. So for instance, I need to learn how to deal with people who want you to be more about their feelings versus some people I can let be and go run autonomously, and they'll be annoyed if I start asking and trying to get too involved in their space. And also in your communication skills, because you go from just speaking to one set culture. So if all the people that you deal with are UK based, regardless if they've got different religious backgrounds, if they all have pretty much live in a British way of culturally working, then you only ever get accustomed to communicating with those kind of people. I've been fortunate enough that I've worked in that kind of environment. But I think in general, I don't know what your feelings are, I think that we live in a place in London, for example, where there are great opportunities to embrace cultural diversity and go and engage with people from different cultures. And I'm not sure that people always necessarily exploit that and take advantage of it. I've got to admit, if I'm thinking of me, how often do I on a weekend say, I'm going to go to like an area where there's a lot of Spanish people who come over and are with their own kind of other people over from Spain, where they can embrace their own culture. And same with Italians. I mean, actually, it's a good question because obviously they is Italian, so I don't know how much you get to it.
So that's probably, I grew up in North London, and I went to a school called Broomfield School, which is in Borough of Enfield, and that was very diverse in its culture, but situated in an area where there's a lot of Greeks, a lot of Turks, and Asians as well. Now, so growing up, I probably have been around Greeks, Turks, Asians, and whites and blacks, and that's been it, to be honest, growing up. And then obviously I met Daniela, and she's half Italian, so I have been exploited to that wider range, and her sister is a very good friend with somebody who's from Italy, but their background is from the Dominican, so it's a little bit different as well. They have a different way and that they do things. So yeah, I've seen how that works, but on my normal day to day, I wouldn't say that I see that. Do you know what I mean? And I think depending on what area you're from, you tend to grow up with certain people, and even your jobs in those areas. I don't think, depending on whether you're maybe in the city or doing the jobs that you got to do, I don't think jobs are really diverse in this culture. I think you just get a mixture of the same Asians, blacks, whites.
Yeah.
And
but it's harder than that. It's harder than you think it is. Because I went to university. I went to Manchester on purpose because I thought I wanted to have wider mix of friends.
Yeah.
And what I found out, most of my friends were black and they were from London.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. I went up north to make friends, and most of my friends were from London. They were from South London, but they were from London anyway. It's because you gravitate towards people. Towards people that look like you, act like you, share the same cultural stuff, and similarities to you. So it's hard. Then I also forced myself to get out of that as well, because I wanted to make friends with people that I wanted to get experience out of being in Manchester. So when I was working in Selfridges in Chester, I made it so I'd speak to people from Sheffield or people from Leeds. Actually, speak to them, understand where they're from and the way they talk and different dialects and stuff. It's just like you talk to someone from Sheffield, they literally miss out words when they talk. It's just hilarious when they go, "I go rod." It's just like they missed out a complete word. But it's just getting out of your own comfort zone. It's having that ability to do that. I always say an example of gay people that in London. When you're a kid, you use the word gay as a negative, it has negative connotations. It's not saying that, it's just saying that's gay, that's soft, that's being less than a man. But then when you go up, when I went up north, it was the first time I'd been openly exposed to gay people, and what you find is that they're not much different to us. That because you're in your own silo and because you haven't experienced it, you might think certain things about them. Luckily that I grew up in North London. I grew up in Tottenham originally. I went to a school which wasn't a religious school, and I grew up with Muslims, Somalis, blacks, Asians, Pakistanis, Chinese. I grew up with that, and I went to a Roman Catholic school which was mostly South American, Italians, blacks, and whites, Irish, and I had a mixture of those type of people. The only people I hadn't had an influence when I was young I had exposure to when I was young was gay people. I think what people have to do is actively try and go out of their comfort zone, actively try and engage people that aren't similar to you, because it also gives you different perceptions of people, when you get like different ideas and you actually get smarter, because you're like you're saying, you've gained experience by dealing with different people, which I wouldn't have. So you naturally have that advantage over me now. If I go to Romania, you know how to deal with Romanians better than I do. If I went to Russia, Russians talk matter-of-factly. They literally tell you what they think. They don't do what we do in the UK. In the UK, we're politely, if someone's offended us, we're polite about it. We go about it in a roundabout way. Russians will tell you, "You're an idiot. You stink. You've got beer." They won't, like in the UK, we'll be like, "Oh, you think you might use some deodorant?" In Russia, they'll come up and tell you. Now, if you're not used to that, you might think they're being rude. They're not. This is how the culture is. And once you expose yourself to that culture, different cultures, you get understanding of how people are, and you get better interactions with them.
So I know your question was more about the work environment. What's your work environment like?
My work environment, what I find in the city, they don't really care about colour. It's more about skills.
If you can do the job.
You can do the job. So you find people in the city. You always find different races. You have Chinese, blacks, Asians, different ranges of depending on the area you work in. So if you work in finance, you have a mixture of people. If you work in sales, you have a mixture of people.
So that's what I've seen, is that in the workplace, and I still work in North London, so that's why I think my job is the norm, whereas you guys are working in different areas, probably different jobs as well, more important jobs, and you've got a more diverse culture in your workplace. When you go out, you obviously you're out with the work people and it's different, but are you close with any of those people that you've met that are different cultures? I.e., do you now class them as friends? Would you talk to them?
You always find common similarities, even if they have different cultures. You always find something similar that someone might like. Like I find the gym is something a lot of people in different cultures, they all share, that they like to be fit, or like people like football can find common culture in that, or in the ways you work. Like I find that like Dutch people, I work for a Dutch bank, they literally will tell you, matter of factly, what you think about you. If you're dumb, if you do something once wrong, and something wrong once, and then do it again, they'll matter of factly tell you how it to your face. Not being rude, this is what it is. Well, in the UK, someone will be, they'll find a way of going around the subject to then tell you, and find a roundabout way of telling you, and you have to adapt when you work in that environment, so you don't take things, you don't get offended by them. You don't think, oh, he's being rude because he's telling me. Because a lot of their emails, the Dutch emails, they're really short. they like you read them up, you're like, damn, what have I done to him? And when you speak to him on the phone, he's just happy as punch, but by the way they interact with you, it's totally different. You have to adapt, and I've learned to adapt working there.
I think more, so for me personally, in response to your question about would they be friends, again, I've been relatively fortunate in the environment I work in because I don't necessarily deal with South Americans working in the UK. I do, but I also deal with South Americans in South America. So when I'm speaking to them, they're in their natural environment, acting in their natural way, as opposed to coming over here and they've started to adopt a bit more of our culture and lose a bit less of theirs. And they only do that at weekends when they're with family and stuff. Again, I've spent time over in Malaysia. I've worked with Malaysians for a long time, but I've spent time over there working with them as well. Now, it just stands to reason for me. One, the team that I've got, I create a relationship where I don't really want to be considered as their boss, so to speak. Well, no, so we can have a conversation so for instance, whenever we go over there, we'll spend time when we go out outside of work. And it's for simple things. So, and it's an unexpected thing I didn't intend to cover on this topic actually, but in the interest of, as we discussed before the podcast, making sure that we can really extract out the practical advice that people can use from this, I would say that what's really helped is having team building events in those kind of areas, because you can know so much about somebody around an office. I'm not saying go out and get drunk all the time, right? But you'll be surprised how much you can learn with somebody after a couple of glasses of wine and they're outside a work environment and they start telling you about all of this stuff about themselves that you would never speak about over, even if it's just over a coffee. Take yourself out of the work environment and you start to learn more about the person. Now, again, as you do spend more time with them, again, this is more seeking to spend time in their natural environment. Then that's when you start to learn the different ways that they work. Because you can't, unless you're continually dealing with someone, so you use Dutch, but unless you're dealing with an Eastern European, it can be difficult until you see them around other Eastern Europeans and you realise, oh, hold on, this is just how they act. And again, if you're dealing with guys from over in the Americas, it can be difficult to not get the way they act unless you see them in context of acting with other people. So for instance, I've spent time, went to a holiday in Rio before, so you see how people from those act. Whereas, so I think what we can do, because it is difficult in the work environment, again, you are half bound by the fact of you need to know where people are from and actually being in your environment versus when you're out and about, obviously you can go. So I think for me, I think we take for granted sometimes the opportunities we have in London. Like, there is no reason why, and again, as I've said, I'm fortunate enough to get it from my work, but outside of work, I don't really spend time with that. So I think things that you can do is go and look to, if you know somebody from a different background, don't intrude on their time, but see if you can go and spend time with them. So if they say, oh yeah, I'm going to a Spanish festival or something, let's use Spain for example, and they say, oh yeah, I'm going to be with all my friends from back home, ask if you can just go along with them, and again, don't intrude on their time. If you're not friends with them, then don't ask to go and spend time with them. But I think there are opportunities to go and do that, just to, again, expand your horizons in the way you do it. Because for me, what you can actually take from it is it's not, cultural diversity is a concept that people like to just, like I say, put out there as a buzzword. But I think for me, from a development perspective, it offers you so much in developing yourself as a wider whole of a person, as well as concepts that you can use in any business or endeavour that you want to go about in. So for instance, if you understand how to speak to different people, you understand how to mould a sales pitch to a person from a different place of the world. So for instance, if you're doing a mortgage, selling a mortgage to somebody from Romania, you might be more matter of fact after you spend more time with someone from Romania, right? And again, if you're selling a product, you may be more direct in your advertising. So let's say you use A/B types of sales. What you post in Eastern Europe might be a different type of ad to what you post in somewhere in Malaysia. And again, once you start to learn with different people, say as you move up and again as we start to go out and engage different people as part of Lifessa, it will help, one, your communication skills. Again, for me, as part of progressing in my career, I don't think I would have, I like to think that I've got quite good leadership capabilities, but I don't think I would have had them if I'd only been ring-fenced and just always been based in looking after UK employees, because all I would have ever known is how to deal with people from the UK, and it would have been a complete curveball when I needed to start having more empathy for different kind of cultures.
I've had to deal with different cultures more from customers rather than in like work colleagues, and definitely I've learned to adapt. You know, the way the Germans do business, the way the Chinese and do business.
Technic is what I deal with Germans. They are just efficient.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking back to one of my German clients now, and that's what it was. It was I won his business on showing him efficiency, showing him that I could get the job done. He is a millionaire. He bought £1 million property in Highgate. I done his mortgage. He could have gone to loads of different people. He chose me because I showed him the efficiency.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you meant that, because that was exactly what I think won me the business. With the Chinese, what I found is they're very much to the pounds and pence, and it's all about the figures rather than service that you can offer them and things like that. They're gonna go with wherever they can get the best deal. Not everybody acts like that. So exactly what you're saying, the practical advice from that would be that you do need to, I think it's better that you do exploit yourself to different, wide range of diversity, wide range of different cultures, because that does help you grow as a person to understand how to cater to different people's needs and different people's wants. Definitely.
Yeah. I think the takeaway from this is from this exercise, go out there and speak to the people, and try and go out there and if you live in London, if you don't live in London, you live in Manchester or Birmingham, you still live in great cities where even in Edinburgh and Glasgow, you still live in great cities where you can meet different people. So go out there and try to integrate and meet new people. Don't be afraid to ask people. Ask people to tell you, take you to one of their, take you to a Turkish coffee shop or tea shop and have Turkish tea and just be in the environment. Don't be afraid to go to an Indian person saying, can you take me to a culture.
Another thing as well. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, no, go.
What I was going to say is, when we do have that opportunity as well, a lot of us go on holiday, we go abroad in Europe and outside, and what I think a lot of people tend to do is stay on the resort. And they don't do anything else. I think it's important that you go out there and see the culture and take it in, and that's what I like to do when I go abroad. A lot more now than I did when I was younger, I'll be honest. I was all about just going and staying on the resort, but now I like going out there and seeing the culture and seeing how they interact, how they work. I think that's what makes a holiday for me. And one thing I try to not live life with regrets. One thing that I do regret is that I didn't travel more, and that's one thing that I want to do going forward when I'm in a position, is travel a lot more to see a lot more cultures. And that's, if you don't have the diversity in your workplace or around you in your area, when you go on holiday or go and seek it, go to different places
and I think holiday is good, because we're talking about from being in London, but you don't get all those opportunities there. And we are very much in, depending on where you're watching this on, I think different people are different. That some of them will go and they just go on holiday and they like the sun, but they don't explore the area. One thing for me is, whenever I've gone somewhere, so for instance when we were in Bucharest, we went out a couple of nights for dinner, they took us to traditional Romanian places. They could have gone and found just a random steak place. But then I wouldn't have learned much about their culture. One of them was in a 250-year-old building that they took us to, or in a heritage. I wouldn't have had their Romanian drink, which, to be fair, may have not been the worst thing. But nonetheless, it's all embracing their culture. It's the same thing when we go to KL. They could take me to English restaurants over there, but they don't. They take me to Malaysian-based restaurants. So completely get that. So I would say, that even because I know you say it before, when you see people on the tube, don't be afraid to speak to them. I think specific takeaway for this is, and maybe to do it over the next week is a bit much, but somewhere over the next month, try and find 3 opportunities to stick yourself in a situation where you are outside of your comfort zone, cultural wise, And actually, and I'm not saying go to a Turkish restaurant, that's not that. Go to like a Turkish, let's say you go to a shisha bar in a Turkish area, which is literally full of Turkish people acting in their own manner of work rather than the way that we're acting. Or if you've got a Spanish friend, you'll find that they'll have places where they go and have, for instance, there'll be some tapas bars or pubs, which is very much Spanish, and they all feel at home acting there. I think we all have the opportunity. So I think if you can find 3 chances to do that this month, you'll be surprised at how much I think that helps you. And again, for me, this isn't just a buzzword of, let's make society more diverse. I really think that there are opportunities to advance your own personal development. And again, it could be in business and professions, but again, it's in life. When you're doing it on a holiday, you talking about getting the benefits of travel. It's getting the most out of your travel when you embrace the different. Otherwise, we could just go and be British everywhere in the world and just go there in the sun, alright? So yeah, I think that would be the takeaway tip from this. And I think it also kind of, again, is a nice segue into one of the things that I was reading up on this week, which is around, so we've talked about the concept of emotional intelligence before. Now I'm reading a book on it at the moment, which is, I mean, it's a bit tricky. It goes into some of the sciences of it and how it works. But it also touches a bit more on emotional awareness, and actually it's actually doing quite a good job of going into the self-awareness state of it, because before, when we've spoke about it and when you see some other people talk about it, you need to be self-aware, but nobody really deals with the science of how you become self-aware. So one of the things that they were talking about is like your ability to understand when you're in a bad mood and to get yourself out of it, and some people can, and some people never see that they're in a bad mood, and some people realise they're in a bad mood when I say, oh, you seem like you're in a bad mood. Then they realise, oh, that's the trigger. They realise they're in a bad mood and they know their way out. So everybody seems to have different degrees of awareness to their emotions, and dependent on how much leverage you give to your emotions, it can hamper you or make you better at decision making. So one of the tests they use in there, so for instance, they have this, it's like I'm very much paraphrasing here, but it's an airplane test that they have, and they basically say, imagine that you're in it's a psychology test, I think. Imagine you're on an airplane and you go into super high turbulence and the plane is going all over the place, up and down, left and right. How would you be inclined to act? Would you be inclined, so for instance, I'm reading when I'm on a plane, right? Would I be inclined to carry on reading and just distract myself from the situation? Or would I be somebody who starts to pay attention to the nuances of how everything around me? So how are the stewardesses acting? Have they harnessed themselves in for brace, or are they still walking up and down? Therefore you're thinking, it's not too much of a problem. Whereas if they're all strapped up, you're thinking, well, if they're worried, then I should probably be worried. So it was interesting because it kind of says more about, one, your emotional awareness state and how that manifests itself in your perceptiveness. So I don't know, how do you think?
I think I would be looking at the stewardess to see how they're acting, if I'm honest. I'll be because I know I won't be able to continue reading the book with all of that going on, because I don't know, I think my mind would be thinking that we're in turbulence, there could be danger here. I want to know firsthand or early on as possible what I need to be doing. So I don't want to be distracted when I need to do something.
Yeah.
But I think you're answering that question in hindsight, because depending on how your emotion feels on that day, or depending on who you're with on the flight, can affect your perception of what's actually going on. Because if you're in a deep conversation, imagine if you and Ben on a flight together, you're in a deep conversation, and it's getting a bit heated, you're not going to be paying attention to what's going on. You might click off, copy your corner of your eye what's going on, and then carry on having the discussion.
So let's say in this instance, because it's a very good point, and it's a difficult thing to answer when you realise what it's about. So let's assume that you're on the plane by yourself, doing whatever you do. You're reading a book or you're listening.
So how bad is this turbulence?
Really, it's bad turbulence. So it's not minor turbulence. It's bad.
But then again, you could be right then, because I've never been on a flight.
And this is why it's difficult to answer.
Yeah, I've never been on a flight with really bad turbulence, so I don't know.
You can tell your story and then I'll tell Marcus. I've got a good example of this.
I was on a plane with very bad turbulence. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And the plane was tiny. It was like one of those monarch planes.
Yeah.
And like for long, it's the reason.
So was that bad turbulence, or was, because I know in those small planes you can get pretty rough anyway.
It was really bad turbulence, because I was on the back of the plane, I could feel it.
Yeah.
And you could hear feel it, and it was shaking, and I was like, crap, I'm gonna die, and it's such a small plane, I'm gonna die. My brain wasn't thinking, let me look at the students.
Yeah.
But my brain was thinking, please God, let's get down back to London. on time. So that's why I say, like, in hindsight, I'll be like, yeah, I'll be looking at this through this and I'll be paying attention. Reality, I don't think I would.
So and the thing is, so the reason that the example I use of this, and I don't know if you remember it was probably about, well, it was 6 years ago now, because Facebook just reminded me it was 6 years ago today that I posted this picture. I went to Rio, do you remember that there was a plane that went down, an Air France plane that went down on the way back from Rio? They just lost it, they never found it.
Yeah.
So I was going to
I
leave.
think I remember.
Yeah, so I was going to leave to go on holiday, and one of the guys, and I was flying a week after it, and one of the guys in the office went, don't worry, he said, oh yeah, goodbye, as if joking, like, I'm flying this flight. He goes, well, don't worry, at least you're not flying Air France. I said, actually, I'm flying from London to France, and to Paris, and I'm flying Air France to Brazil, so I'm flying that exactly, right? So we go over there, there's not particularly much turbulence on the way there, but on the way back there is a lot of turbulence, and it is exactly in the same area where the plane has gone down 2 weeks ago. Now, first of all, I've got tonsillitis at this point, so I'm having a horrible flight because every time I swallow it hurts.
Is this when you went to Brazil holiday with C?
Yeah.
I won't say his name. Yeah.
So this is when we're doing that. So I've come back, I've got tonsillitis, but I've gone with a friend to Madeira, and he's Catholic, and he's got his rosary on and everything. So I'm there. I think at a point in time I kind of drifted off a bit in it. And if this is, I mean, one, it's pretty heavy turbulence. Two, this is at night, so they've got all the lights switched off. Three, everybody knows in their mind that a flight has gone down a week ago. Now I'm still going kind of about my business. I look to him, he's got his cover up, his rosary beads in his hand, praying like this. Two complete switched variations of it, right? Now, the reason it becomes interesting when you look at this topic, and one, how you think you would, because I think it's difficult to know how you would act until you're there, but when you start to put yourself in, being honest to yourself, how would you act? The person who becomes completely, pays all, because I think I'm a bit of a mix in the middle. I would like to think that I will probably pay attention to what the people are doing around me, but then I will probably half go back to doing what I'm doing. One, slightly distraction. Two, actually my view of things in the grand scheme of things with planes are, if it's gone down, I can't do much to change it. Which is it's not a great way to think about it, but it is what it is. But the difference is, I spoke to my mum about this, for instance, and she said, I've got a friend who would just go absolutely mental, she'd lose her mind and everything. Now, in the absence of all rational states and letting yourself completely lose your mind, even if the plane's going to go down, how much are you going to remember about what you're supposed to do? So to brace, you head down, the air will come, the oxygen will come down. You've so lost yourself to the emotion that you wouldn't be able to do it. Whereas if you were at the other end of the spectrum and had no emotion, then, and this is very, and I'll explain afterwards how you might reach this state, but you may again not make the most, you'll make a very rational decision, but probably not the most effective decision because you've completely switched off. You've lost any emotion to the fact that you might die, therefore you forget to give urgency to something. And the only reason in the book they talk about this, because they talk, without going into science of something that I need to spend a lot more time studying than I do, they refer to the control that the amygdala has in the mind over your emotions, and how some people have had operations where they've actually had that kind of cut. And the absence of that, there was one guy who had an accident, had this car, and had no emotions whatsoever. And he could no longer make, he was still skilled profession-wise, IQ-wise, but he lost job after job. He could no longer make any actual decision because he had no emotional standpoint to tie any decision to. So every option to him was the same.
The same thing that I heard on I think Joe Rogan podcast or Sam Harris. Your thoughts affect the way your emotions affect the way you think, and we don't really think that way. So when you eat food, your emotions affect the way you eat. And like the thing about someone that lost their ability to have emotion, it totally he started even the same thing because if his emotions wasn't linked to the way he eats. Our emotions, like people get excited about food, it affects the way what we pick, what we want to eat. A lot of people eat stuff to make them feel good. I like it. I want to eat it. I want to feel good. I'm feeling like steak today. You know why you feel like steak today? Because you probably have a really good day and you want to have steak and it makes you feel good. If you want to have ice cream, I'm talking like Kevin Hart now, but if you want to have ice cream, I was thinking, why does that sound familiar? If you want to have ice cream, if you're having a hot day, you want to have ice cream because it makes you feel good. It adds to the day. Now, if you're having a day where you feel like you're a bit fat, a bit bloated and stuff, you might stick away not have the KFC today and have the brown rice and tuna.
But is that emotion though?
That is emotional because the way you feel about yourself, it affects how you. It's your emotion.
But if you feel bloated, then chances are you are bloated.
Yeah,
so then you would make. I don't know.
But your bloatedness affects the way you feel.
Yeah,
like, you don't feel bloated.
Yeah.
You feel more. You feel happy. You feel more free. You don't feel like my belly's sticking.
But you know what? That's you and probably me as well. But some people don't care about being.
That's interesting because when I'm bloated, I am first off, everybody jokes that I wear too much tight shirts, right? But I'm spending half of my time holding myself in. Where some people just walk around.
I'm not saying.
I hold myself in when I feel bloated. I hold myself in. If I don't, my belly sticks out.
Yeah.
And I feel bloated. I feel conscious that it might not stick out that much. Yeah.
Yours won't stick out that much.
In my head,
it sticks out more
than
mine.
In my head, it sticks out much more.
Yeah.
And because of that, I might not want to eat something that may make me more bloated, even though I might enjoy it more than the brown rice and tuna. You get what I'm saying? Because your emotions affect your decisions, what you do. We just don't really link them together. We think, so a lot of people make bad decisions when they're angry because of their emotions stop. They're I don't know if they're rational, so I think, but you act with anger. A lot of times you can have a fight with someone, and if you calm down, you wouldn't have that fight because of your anger wouldn't be there.
Same when you sleep on it, you wake up in the morning, you're not as angry as you was yesterday, and you make a different type of decision. That's me. That's me all of the time.
I think AJ Jacobs was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he asked it's Tim Ferriss's, and he asked him what are a few of the things that you think that people can have a takeaway, and he was like, first off, all this nonsense about don't go to bed angry. He's like, I always go to bed angry because if I didn't, then I would end up having some argument with my wife, and she's going to be pissed off at me all night and all morning. Whereas if I go to bed angry, I wake up in the morning and we deal with it in the morning.
But it's also like me because if I don't get that much sleep, I go in the mood. And it's not depression, I got a little bit of depression. My thoughts become so negative, and it becomes even more negative because I get more tired, and if someone asks me a question to do stuff, all I want is a lazy day, I don't want to do too much work, someone asks me to do something that's quite taxing, I get even angry and moodier because of I'm tired, what else to do this work for? And I've become aware of this, so I even talk myself out of it, and say, look, you're tired, you're not angry, you're not depressed, your life's going really well, the only thing is, you're tired.
Well, that's important you say that. I think it's important that people do become self-aware and they can talk to themselves. Like, I had an incident at work the other day where two clowns really pissed me off. Sorry to swear, but they really pissed me off. But I knew that I would do something silly if I just started to act out. And I was close to, but I said, you know what, take me out of this environment. I spoke to my man and I was like, and I talked to him and he knows me pretty well now. And you know what? Yeah, you can go, leave early so that I can just go and calm down because I wanted to go around to the man's office and go and do something silly. Do you know what I mean?
But I pinged you on WhatsApp later, didn't I? Because you said that to me. I said that's good emotional maturity to have removed yourself from that.
That's it, because I felt like I needed to do that rather because I know what I'm like. I start winding myself up and I start thinking about all of these things that could be said and I start winding. I was like. And I start getting, and I'm sweating at this point as well, you know. Like it was a hot day, but I wasn't sweating before. As soon as I start getting angry, I start to sweat. That's what happened. So I just took myself out, but I was able to talk to myself.
That's emotional intelligence. That's its ability to the book you gave me, the chimp paradox. Its ability to understand when your chimp's going to go out of control. It's like I have this issue where my temper snaps and I say stuff, and then people are like this morning, where it's coming from. It's not coming because it's because of I want to say it in a calm way, but I can't. I can't articulate it in a calm manner. So if I say it, then afterwards, when I calm down, it flows out better than me sitting there being quiet. It's just having that ability to know yourself. I think a lot of people don't know themselves as well as they think they do. And if they did, they should control themselves. Because a lot of this issue that we have, like the road rage instances, it takes a few seconds to go, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
I look at you for road
rage.
rage.
I know, and that's why I said exactly, because I'm thinking of myself as well.
Like when I'm in the car with him, oh my goodness.
Even my cousin this morning, I'm just like getting so frustrated. I'm like, I'm just stuck behind Sunday drive this morning. I need to sort that out, man.
No, but I'm the opposite of you. I've got road rage in the car. I think it's a good thing because I don't go out there and kill the person.
Yeah,
I don't chase the person off. I just sit in my car. I continue driving.
I don't feel at the same time because I'm like you say you need to fix it, but it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, like, and I just find it amusing when I'm there. But it's not like you when I'm in the car, you don't take it out on me. You just continue going like your thing. But when you said people don't know themselves, I think half of that is again because it's very easy to just say just be self-aware, and it is interesting when you start to think to yourself, are you one of those people? And again, this is one of those practical pieces of advice for people to think about over the next week or so is, and think about the situations, think back to what you've gone through, and then make sure for the next week, you're going to pay attention to whenever you're in moods and when you're in them. And are you one of those people who knows you're in a bad mood when you're in a bad mood? Because as stupid as that sounds, there's some people, they know they're grumpy, but they don't like to really admit the fact that they're in a bad mood, so they just go about their moody. I mean, some people just seem to be moody all the time. I told you about that guy in the gym who always is just angry guy. Not me. And then you've got some people who will actively know that they're angry, but don't try to get themselves out of it. They're just not happy to be angry, but just, I'm angry, I'm going to be angry until I'm angry. And then there are some people who will know that they're angry and will, one, do things to remove themselves from the situation, but two, will have and this is where I think it is a degree of you need to work to get to this state, to step back and say, I'm angry. One, not only do I need to remove myself from the situation, I need to get myself back out of this state. Because that is one of the biggest skills I think that I don't develop when I'll be honest, if I'm on minimal sleep, and I'm talking like 2 hours or something, because 4 hours is fine, I can work on that. But if I get to like super minimal sleep, and if I'm hungry as well, Snickers, I'm not myself if I'm hungry, right? And my patient is very thin, it's very difficult. I know I'm actively angry, but it's difficult for me to pull myself out of anger. Whereas in any other given moments in time, I can manage it. So and the way that I've got, and everybody's different in how you manage your anger, right? Some of mine, I may be on a conference call, for example, I'm getting actively wound up at this point, but I like to think that I'm quite good at cutting through the chaos in any given direction. Now to do that, it may mean that I go on mute and have to just vent, and people around me are like, hold on, what's going on here? Like, so to them, but as weird as it may seem to them, I can then literally rebalance myself. 2 seconds later, unmute myself and give a leveled and rational response to something. But actually, it's actually taken me, again, to step out of the situation and fix that. I think that is a real skill that people need to, I think the only way to work on it is to start actively paying attention to it. So when you're in a bad mood and you know, start to stop and think, or again, you might be one of those people who I need to tap you and say, are you in a bad mood? And if you are, when somebody says that, start to register. Oh, somebody told me I was in a bad mood. How come I didn't think I was in a bad mood?
But it's not even a bad mood. It's also when you're happy. When you're happy, it's like it's just identifying like when you're in a happy state. What's making me happy? What's making me relax? And then once you understand that, then you can start when you are in a bad mood. You can then take what's making you happy and apply that to that bad mood. It's understanding when you're in a bad mood and how to get out of it.
You see, I don't know how. I was what was it? I can't remember which one it was, but Tony Robbins was talking about how he talks to himself for 90. He gives himself 90 seconds. If he's in a good mood and he starts falling into a bad state, gives himself 90 seconds and he can kick straight back in. And I was thinking, like, I do like Tony Robbins and everything, yeah. But I was thinking, how true is that? That there must, like, a little bit like what John was, you can't be happy all the time. Yeah. Like, you can't. There must be points where you're upset or angry for more than 90 seconds.
But you can be upset and angry. But I think what he's saying is that when he feels himself getting into that mode of being angry, he talks himself out of it. It's not like because sometimes people like stew in their own anger or stew in their own mood. They're like, I'm angry. I like this feeling.
Yeah, I like this feeling. Yeah, 100%.
I'm just going to deal with it. And then after, like you were saying before. But then some people don't want to get into that point. So it's just before, when you're heading in there, he just goes, 90 seconds, I'll talk to myself. And the same thing I do in the morning when I haven't had good sleep. I will go, say to myself, don't go into work moody, because it's not their fault that you haven't had sleep. It's your own issue. Yeah. If you have to put your headphones in to get through the day, put your headphones in. don't take it out on them.
Yeah.
You know why you're angry, you know why you're in a bad mood, it's because you haven't had enough sleep. Do things to stop you from feeling tired. So I'll have coffee, I'll eat, I'll go out and get some sweets just to make myself feel good.
Malams,
Yeah, Malams. Big boy sweets.
Yeah.
I get some Malams or Skittles and I'll eat those, and I'm actively trying to make myself feel better so I don't take it out on my colleagues.
See, I think that's what the issue is. I think a lot of the time people don't even want to feel better. Because I'm relating this back to when I have an argument with the missus, and I'm getting better now. But a lot of the time, she could say sorry to me for something she's done, and I'm not interested, and I'll carry on staying in the And it's not just with her.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, I've experienced that for myself.
It's not even just
in my earlier years. I've experienced that.
It's with other people as well. They could genuinely apologise for something they've done, and I'll still feel really hurt by it, and I won't be able to brush it off. And that's something that I know about. Do you know what I mean? So I try and work on that for myself.
And I've experienced it, and when I say, sorry, I was saying I've seen it from you. What I meant is, when I was, because obviously I've spent, and I was speaking to my boss about this the other day, I was like, I've spent a lot of time reading and educating myself in different areas like this, because I believe I need to do it as part of my own development, given that I do like to have a focus on management and leadership. Therefore, these are all important soft skills for me, more so than anything else. I focus more on my soft skills, and actually the technical expertise, I don't actually dig too deep on, because I can learn those quickly. Whereas these I have to practice and ingrain. So things like that, because I used to get the same thing. Yeah. And I had to train myself out of getting to that feeling of, well, they've just given their apology. There's nothing more they can do. Yeah. What is the benefit of me staying angry now? But it's not as easy to say it. You do. These are those things. Any soft skills, one, you need to understand the logic behind it. Then you need to actively practice. So when I was talking about start paying attention to it, and you made a very good point there actually, pay attention to when you're in a good mood, because you can leverage that for when you're in a bad mood. But over the start when you're doing it, you really have to pay attention to it, and then it will become more habitual. But even when it's habitual, there are still times when you're going to have to step back and put yourself in check. But I think some of the 90 seconds, because I do something similar, I spend a lot of time where I tend to have like 60-second talks to myself. Probably sometimes out loud as well. What I like to tell people is, they think I'm talking to myself, I say I'm seeking expert advice. So some of the time as well, and as I said earlier, is you can get to a point where when there's a complete absence of emotion, you make the wrong decision anyway. When there's too much emotion, you make the wrong decision because you're driven by anger, you're driven by sadness. So you need to find your way to a balance in the middle, because sometimes actually what I find is, and who was I talking to? There was some I was into, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, someone like truly Machiavellian, like somebody is going to do a door-to-door sale, and they will get themselves angry and wound up so they can really push like their sale when they're doing it, which is the absolute extreme of the spectrum. But for me, a lot of the time is, for instance, some of the times where the biggest stress is going on, I work the most effective. Not because, and in the absence of stress, I probably wouldn't be as effective. But it's taken on that mix in the middle and then challenging it. So again, I think when we've spoken about emotional intelligence before, we've spoken on different aspects of it. Whereas this, I think, is more around your emotional intelligence and awareness piece, and spending more time focusing on that awareness piece. And I think we've just going through our experience with all at kind of, not different stages, but we all have different kind of challenges that we get at, and we clearly all have different kind of ways that we go about it. And that's the thing. Everybody's going to be different in the way they deal with it. I don't think there's one size fits all, but it all starts with that awareness piece. Once you start to get aware of it, what you use as happiness to get you out of a bad mood isn't going to be the same as John Smith down the street. But the focus that you take to be aware of it that's the principle that you can take away and actually use and adopt. And then on doing that, again, understand it's going to be difficult for 2 to 3 months. But it's going to be worth it if you can get to a point of, when somebody says sorry, yeah, you might still have a little grumble for 5 minutes or so, but then you can get past it and say, well, I'm fine. As opposed to, sometimes it's difficult. It's just difficult, you're like, again, I've had times before when someone's apologised and it's been like 2 days later and I'm like, we're still not speaking, and I'm like, I know I'm being stupid about this, why can't I just let it go? But it's not that easy, you actively have to train yourself out. So, and for me, those are two things, these are two skills. What we've spoken about here is the emotional intelligence and embracing the diversity of cultures, which are kind of, again, for me, I put increasingly in high importance on soft skills, and these are two of those which will help you in your relations and engagements with everybody on a day-to-day basis, on a personal basis, right? But will also help you in a professional capacity. I've talked about how it helps me from a management capacity, but it can help you from a sales capacity, from an accountant's capacity, because you deal with people from different countries in the world, right? From being in a service-related job, from being a football or a sports coach. It can help you across all of those. I just think sometimes there is a nice emphasis put on, yeah, soft skills, this is how you get them, but not necessarily enough emphasis put on one episode, two, so I think just before we kick Josh.
Go out to them.
That was terrible. Last week.
It's mad.
I'm a dad again.
I must have gone relatively well.
Well, our festival on Sunday. All trips to the hospital. 7. He's my and yeah, man, I'm just ecstatic. It's just when I had to continue with life. No, I'm off work. It's dance show Thursday. After that, also stuff. Really, and I did share on time.
I didn't. Yeah,
but what other parents think? It's 6 now, so this happens, and it's a lot. Forget, sort of like her, and she was holding so quick. You don't really know.
Yeah.
Some big decisions.
How's your week been? I said, and you had a nice experience in the hotel. Bear in mind.
That was all. Everybody. Monday, so everyone's like, yeah. I mean, they did. It was like, because they just come. Because I departure. Sign was life. Got in the stands. I use for it. There's a point.
Remaining porn stars.
Realised that, and the women, one of them went over and was like, oh, of them. Stayed there.
He was amazing.
Quite happily. His deal was done. He's one. I lived in New York at one. He was like, it was the time. It's on you now. I was like,
Yeah.
The time. Team, we had nobody in the UK. People like management, got through. It's not necessarily. It's not a bad thing. Much work. But they change.
Them.
Is diabolical diet, so I head downstairs, run off as much as I was. Now I'm back. Recover from what? But no, like I said, well into one about at work.
Yeah.
And is the sometimes as a budget, it's something that's working on for the audience. Understand